Hello, who's excited to be here tonight? Yeah, all right. So we are Phil Long Dealerships, and we are very excited to be part of this series. We've been a presenting sponsor now for 3 years. And I would like to thank the team at CSBJ, the amazing Almagre for hosting us in this beautiful venue, and to our fellow sponsors. And I do want to just really highlight, when I was writing my remarks, I was like, thank you, CSBJ. Last month, we couldn't say that. And I know I'm excited. As a big part of this business community, we rely on the Business Journal for our news and really relevant information. So one more time, let's thank the team for bringing it back. Yeah. Yes. So, the other wonderful thing is that Phil Long Dealerships has been here in Colorado for 78 years. And I like to say that when we think about the city of Colorado Springs and it just recently celebrating its sesquicentennial, we've been around for more than half of that. And so, everyone in this room is a stakeholder. Everyone is making a difference in this community by showing up. And, it's the people that make organizations a success. Last night, our executive vice president and partner of the entire Phil Long Auto Group, his name is Kevin Shaughnessy, he was inducted into the Colorado Automotive Hall of Fame. Yeah, thank you. He is one of 8 auto dealers from across the state that was selected for their industry impact and community service. And what Kevin has taught us is that respect is earned one customer at a time, right? And that treating people right at every level breeds success. And so, tonight, as we stand here together, it is a success story for being here. This also translates into how we support our community. And I want to share with you what's happening this weekend and actually invite you all to come. Some of you have already heard from me. And I also want to note that this weekend, Jonna Claymeyer will be part of our celebration. But this weekend, we will be celebrating the all-new Phil Long Hyundai of Chapel Hills. And what's so important about that is that we are, with the renovations, the only flagship Hyundai store in the state. So what that means is that basically this dealership is like 2.0 version of any dealership of any Hyundai dealership that you walk in today. But what's important to note is that it was not mandatory by the manufacturer. It was a choice. It was a choice to elevate the car buying experience, the customer satisfaction, and environmental friendliness. But on behalf of Phil Long Dealerships, we thank all of our customers for really making a difference, because it's by being a customer of ours that we're able to make that difference in the community. Tonight's speaker is also the epitome of making a difference in this community, right? All right? Yeah. He is a true champion, and one that really is amazing how much he touches. And very occasionally, we meet someone in this city who doesn't already know Rodney Gullatte. In case there's one or two of you in here in the room tonight, I'm going to give you just a little bit about his bio. Rodney has been in Colorado Springs for only 7 years, but he's made a huge impact. As president and CEO of the Colorado Springs Black Chamber of Commerce, he has rebuilt that 30-year-old organization from the ground up to work on behalf of Black businesses and their supporters, and to transform this community into something better. As president and CEO of Firma IT Solutions, he not only provides businesses with critical cybersecurity and IT services, he also educates the business leaders about how to keep their companies and their clients safe. In 2020, Rodney became the first Black president in the 104-year history of the Rotary Club of Colorado Springs. He was honored with the 2020 Mayor's Young Leader Award, and last year, he was a Colorado Governor's Fellow. He serves on the board of directors for the Colorado Springs Conservatory and for the Colorado Springs Chamber and EDC and for the Better Business Bureau of Southern Colorado. And in every organization, he throws his energy into collaboration and change. He's a native of Marietta, Georgia, an Air Force veteran, a certified ethical hacker, a creative and a tireless advocate for community building, supporting businesses and promoting equity. Tonight, Rodney will be talking with Helen Lewis, managing editor at the Business Journal and the Indy.
All right, can I be heard?
I can hear you.
Okay, that's all that counts.
Yep.
All right, so I'm going to change my first question. What does music mean to you?
Music was my first gift. I touched the piano, I think, when I was 4 years old. Never really took my hands off of it. I was a youth minister of music in the AME church in Marietta, Georgia, Turner Chapel AME Church. And that was during the 90s, during the Gospel Renaissance. So for those of you that were in church during that time, the Fred Hammonds, the Kurt Franklins, Donnie McClurkin, Richard Smallwood, like that whole revolution genre, I was, reading, writing, playing by ear, directing youth choirs, piano, organ, keyboard, sax, trumpet, drums. Like, it was a big part of my life. So it means a lot to me, a whole lot. Good question.
Okay, so you mentioned that you're from Georgia. So
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about your family growing up and how you got interested in tech, computers, IT.
My life growing up, my parents were both Air Force vets, and they met at Eglin Air Force Base. So I grew up pretty strict household, I think. A lot of whoopings. I was that kid. At church a lot. My parents really instilled in me to be part of your community and give back and, use your gifts that God gave you to, make the world better. So I always felt that on my heart to use it wherever I could. The tech, I always was interested in electronics. And my mother got me she had an old Mac. Actually, it was an Apple IIe. Y'all remember those? Yeah. Had a floppy drive, 5 1/4-inch floppy. Had another external floppy drive, and it was awesome. And shout out to Rocky Mountain PBS. They interviewed me a few years ago. You can find that on my company YouTube channel. But I told them about some of the games I used to play when I was little, and they went and found footage of it. So like Oregon Trail and Zork and the Jungle Book. Like, dude, that was my jam. I was playing those. And then we ended up getting a Macintosh, the one box unit with the handle. And, I was making banners out of the dot matrix printer, and you really couldn't mess those up because that's a lot of paper. And changing fonts and just working my way around it. My mom saw, like, I think you got a knack for this. So we ended up getting a compact Presario 954. And it came with the MS-DOS 6.22 book. And my mother told me I couldn't touch it till I read the book. So my mom's family's from Collins, Mississippi. My aunt's the first black mayor there right now. And during that trip down and back, I read the book. And I just started typing in code and making the computer do something and break it and then had to figure out how to get back. And there was a brother at the Office Max in Marietta who kind of took me, he was like my first mentor in computers. And I would just call him up on the phone. He was a sales guy in computers at Office Max, but he's like, I was like, hey, how do you do this? How do you do that? And he would tell me. And then I got into gaming. My first really big game at that point was Doom, the first one. So that was on a 3 1/4-inch floppy, and you had to hold down the left shift key and turn on your computer in order for the memory to have enough for you to play the game. So that was dial-up back in the multiplayer during dial-up days. And I just really got interested, just wanted to know more and learn more and do more. And when I was 12 in 1992, seems like forever ago, I looked up online how much people get paid that know this IT computer stuff. And I was like, man, that's a nice salary. So then at 12, I was given a choice. It's like, do I pursue music, which I was very good in, but I knew you'd probably be broke for a while before you make it big. And while I had some connections to stuff, I was like, man, I can make this money now and go into computers, which I also love. So I married the two together, got a Roland XP80, if you know about your keyboard stuff, and learned how to sequence and learn how to use MIDI, musical instrument digital interface, and be able to, Music Time 16 was like a super big program, so I could play music and it would write it on the screen, or I could write the music and it would play it back on my keyboard. So I was just doing that back and forth, doing talent shows, winning them. People were not happy to see me come into talent shows with my keyboarding case and my sax. I would just blow them away. So yeah, I kept studying. I said to myself, I wanted this to be my career at 12. And my first job out of high school was doing Y2K compliance for Lotus Notes for Emory Healthcare in Atlanta. So out of high school, a lot of my friends are, flipping burgers or bagging groceries, and I'm, working a 9 to 5, getting paid $25 an hour to work on Windows NT, which was amazing. I'd never seen like corporate computer systems before, so learning networking and all that was really great. And that's my tech story. It's been stuck with it ever since. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, man. Thank you. You would know.
Was there a moment that you remember where it hit you like, I'm really good at this? This is really my thing.
I did have a very interesting moment in high school. So grew up in Georgia, not in a huge hurry to move back to the South. It's just a cloud of like oppressiveness that's present there, and I grew up with it. If you look me up in Time magazine, I got in a fight in middle school because this kid called me a nigger and said he was going to kill my family because we were a bunch of them, and we didn't deserve to be here. So I clocked him in the hallway and left him there, got suspended. But fast forward that to high school, went to Sprayberry High School, predominantly white high school, and me and my friends were sitting at a table, and you're supposed to be quiet in the library. I get it, but we're high schoolers, and everybody's talking in the library. So this old white lady walks up. She walks to my table, past everybody else who's talking. She's like, I need you guys to be quiet or you need to leave. So my smart ass says, well, my friends were getting upset. I'm like, don't get upset. I'm glad Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. wasn't here to see this. Man, she turned red. She was so pissed. So she's like, come to my office right now. I'm like, okay. So I went back to her office. She's like, how dare you call me a racist? So I didn't call you a racist. It was obvious that you walked past everybody else in this library to come mess with us. And I'm glad Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. wasn't here to see you do it. So it's like, well, you are banned from this library. I don't want to see you in here again. I'm like, okay, cool. So back in those days, for all you nerds in here, the computers booted up off 3¼ inch floppies. And it was all networked. And they had catalogs and servers in a back office that was locked. So they booted the computers up in the morning. So I walked by on my way out of the library, and I popped one of those discs out that they use to boot the computer, and I stuck it in my pocket, and I went home. And that night, I wrote 3 computer viruses from scratch. I wrote one that would erase the hard drives and keep you from putting anything else on it. The second virus, statute of limitations, yes. Yeah. So the second virus would, they had the CRT tube monitors back then, so the refresh rate had to be at a certain place. So it would change the refresh rate and burn out the tubes on the screens. And the third one was a timer to go off at noon the next day. So I told a couple of my friends what I had done. I got to school early that morning before they turned those computers on, and I stuck that disk in there. And I left. And I came back and hung around the library about 11:55 with a couple of my friends. We're just hanging on the outside waiting. And 12 o'clock hits and nothing happens. But about 12:03, 12:05-ish, a computer on the other end of the library starts freaking out. Then a computer on the other end of the library starts freaking out. Then they all freak out and they all shut off. And I was like, dang. So I walked away. We'll go back to class. Don't say nothing. I was like, dang. So the next morning on the morning announcements, they tell us, hey guys, if you got any outstanding library books, just, hold on to them. We're doing an upgrade to the library. I walked by the library, they moved out all the furniture. They had all the computers on the floor, opened up, trying to fix them. And what hit me at that moment was they never saw me coming. What they thought was when they see a tall black guy everywhere I go, and even still today, what's the first thing you think somebody says to me that asks me if I do? Do you play basketball? So that's the mask. In no universe that they thought I was a programmer, learning computers and studying viruses. They had no idea. So, being a certified ethical hacker now, I use my knowledge for good, okay? But I'm pretty sure there's nobody that has entered this profession of cybersecurity that hasn't dabbled in the dark arts at some point. And I know the dark arts well, but I use them to help people. But that was a moment when I knew I was on to something special. I needed to go ahead and do this because nobody else, there were no other black people that I'd ever seen that were computer people, except for Richard Pryor in Superman 3. Y'all remember that one? That was inspiring for me. That was inspiring. He was controlling satellites, starting tornadoes, changing traffic lights. I'm like, dang, that was amazing. So I got, as far as people to look up to, that's who I had, Richard Pryor. Until I got older in the profession, I met some other people. So.
Okay. So you covered my certified ethical hacker question, which felt like it needed to come next. Apart from Richard Pryor, who's the first leader you ever remember really looking up to, and what did you specifically take away from that person?
My mother.
Tell us about that.
My mom. Shout out to my mom. Yeah, hi from my mom. So my mother grew up in Collins, Mississippi. In her lifetime, she had picked cotton. She had been told that she'd be worth nothing. My grandmother cleaned white people's houses for money. She was told she'd never amount to anything. My mom is a juggernaut in the nursing industry right now. She's a doctor. If you Google Mary Gullatte, you were Googling me earlier and you saw a whole bunch of stuff. If you Google Mary Gullatte, you'll get a whole bunch of stuff too. She's international. She's a beast. And, she's the one that took me into rooms full of white people and got me comfortable in that space, because my mom would walk into that room and control the room. Those people got quiet when my mom walked in the room. I watched that happen. When she spoke, people shut up and they listened to her. And if she had to jerk somebody's chain or go after somebody, she could do it. My mom's got long arms. Long arms. We had an issue in Arizona years ago. My mom made a phone call. We got pillows. We got the head of nursing showing up. It was incredible. So, my mother, working in this kind of environment with professionals and being fearless, gave me a pathway to do the same thing. So I take a lot of my pointers from my mom as far as how to work a room and be a leader. So. Yeah.
You've talked about communities engaging each other, and you've talked before about who's comfortable and uncomfortable walking into these rooms, who's understood, who's expected to end up in leadership positions.
Yes.
And you've said, I know how the demographics are in this town, I get it, but that's not an excuse for the lack of engagement that I've seen.
Yep.
Talk to us about that. What do you see and how do we change it?
Well, the future of this town looks like this room. I like how this room looks. Yeah. I wish I was in more rooms that look like this. Dude, there's everybody's in here. Everybody's in here. And for the future of our city, the city that we want it to be, the city of champions, Olympic City, USA, Colorado Springs, call it what you want, the future looks like this. So we have to make room. We got to have seats or standing room only, for people to come in and be engaged. There's a lot of rooms where it's easier to just have your doors open to the people who are the majority in this town. And I looked this town up before I moved here. My wife got orders to Colorado Springs. First thing I did was hop on the computer and do a demographic dig. It's like, dude, what is Colorado Springs? 6.9% black. I'm like, oh, wow, okay, that's gonna be cool. What else? Okay, about double that Hispanic. Okay, right on, 70% white. I'm like, okay, come on. We got a huge chamber in the middle, and then a black chamber, Hispanic chamber, women's chamber. I'm like, okay, so what that told me was that there, at some point in this town's history, those folks with the other chambers of commerce felt disenfranchised to the point that they had to create their own chambers of commerce. And that's back 20 women's chambers doing 30 years this year, I believe. Black chamber was 30 years last year. We're 31 this year. I don't know how old the Hispanic chamber is. And people ask, why do we need them? There's certain stories. There's a certain type of care that goes into each one of those groups. Like, I haven't seen anybody speak to women like the Women's Chamber has. And as far as black people, when I got here, man, like, I would meet somebody like Danielle Somerville. She was at Big Brothers Big Sisters when I got here. And I would meet other black professionals that had been here for a while. I'm like, do you know this sister? They'd be like, nope. I'm like, are you serious right now? How long you been here? 20 years. Like, really? Have you engaged a black chamber before? Nope. Like, are you serious right now? So when I come in, I start asking these questions, and I start finding these gaps, these holes that could make us a better cohesive community, especially enrich and uplift the black community. I'm like, man, let me see where I can fit in. So I started getting to work right away. My first week here, I transferred my membership to the Rotary Club of Colorado Springs from the Rotary Club of Key West, and I joined the Colorado Springs Regional Business Alliance, which is the chamber EDC now, and had the chance to serve as president of the Rotary and on the board of the chamber and EDC now. So I mean, it's just, you have to get involved, you have to be strategic, you have to have a plan, and a lot of it's courage. Like, I've talked to a lot of my people out here, and it's like, we've tried to go into these rooms, we're greeted in such a way that we don't want to come back. And I've got stories of walking in rooms with, guests of color that I would bring, and somebody would say, I had one person say, your hair makes me angry. And this is a sister that had really big, beautiful hair. And she looked at me, and I was like, did I tell you they might say something to you in here? Just saying. Because you're like one of two in here. So, we have to work past that. Don't get offended. It's not, what I've noticed about this community, it's not so much about racism as much as it is about relationships. So when I started watching television news and looking at the paper when I moved here, any black story I saw was negative. It was a crime or something that had happened. So when I'm in a room full of white people here, when I first got here, and they would say to me, Rodney, you speak so well. It's like, damn, I code in 4 languages, I run a business in 2 sides of the country. How do you expect me to speak? But I know, because you just got through watching The Wire, which is a great show. It's a great show. But if that is your only engagement with us, then you don't know how to treat me when I come into the room. So I have to take on the burden of not letting that get to me and stay in the room and build the bridge. So we need more people to do that kind of work, Helen. Yeah.
What you just talked about touches on this a bit, but how do you deal with people who don't want to see you in leadership positions?
Who don't want to see me in leadership positions? I pray for them. What they say in the South, bless their heart, right? Right, John? Right, John? That's what we say, right? Bless their heart. One of the things I learned in Key West, because that was the first time I became a business owner and really started getting super involved in the community, because as a business owner, your community engagement is different than if you're an employee somewhere. So I got super engaged in Key West. It's a very hyper-local community, more hyper-local than this one. It's 3x5 island. Everybody knows everybody. Old money. Like, you can't be an outsider and go to Key West and think you're going to succeed. But if you engage the community, that's the secret. So, there were people that didn't want me to be successful there. And I just watch them. They're like banging their heads against the wall. They can't stop me. They can't stop it because the work is righteous, and you can't stop righteous work. You just can't. Can't do it. Thanks.
Your Air Force career wasn't exactly focused on the work you loved most, but what did you learn through your service that you've brought into leadership here?
So my military experience, I scored a 98 out of 99 on the ASVAB. And they told me I could have any job I wanted. I'm like, great, I want to go into computers. And it's like, well, how about aircraft maintenance? Like, no, man. Computers. Like, well, how about, security force? Like, no. So it's like, just go in open electrical, check these jobs. So I'm like, okay. It's like, you're guaranteed to get one of these 5 if you go in open electrical. I'm like, okay, great. So I sign the line. I go into basic training. I'm in the flight for top secret clearance stuff. It's all great. I get 8 weeks, 3 days at Shepherd Air Force Base in electrical power production and aircraft arresting systems. So I'm a civil engineer now, which is about as far away as you could put me from computers. Far away. So my coworkers built trucks and go hunting on the weekends. That's what my coworkers did, right? And we smoked cigars and we grill, and it was a big learning experience. One of the things I learned was, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. I think all of us heard that one. So while I was I took notice that, in civil engineering, everything was on paper. And this is around 2001, 2002 timeframe. Everything's paperwork. They got file cabinets full of paper, and they're just coming out with the CAT cards in the military. So I go to the foreman of my shop. I'm like, hey, what if I could write you a computer program that could digitize all this paper? You could sign it with your CAT card, and you would never need paper again. And he looked at me, he's like, you can do that? I was like, I can do that. Will you let me do that? He's like, here's a laptop, go do it. So I wrote the program. And the command chief for Air Force Material Command came down from Langley to endorse the program I wrote, and they ended up putting it in production. So, I was using my IT. So my nickname in the military was the Black Bill Gates. That's what they called me. So every time I need something, like, Gates, we need Gates. So in the military, I was also in the Honor Guard, and that was a very humbling experience. I went after that because I liked the uniform. It's got shiny shoes, and I like my shoes. They got taps on the bottoms. It's got a real shiny buckle, nice, has like a tuxedo blue uniform with a rope with a bullet on. I'm like, man, this
shoes
is beautiful.
Is a good reason.
Yes, yeah, it is. They're nice. But when I got in, I had no idea, how personal and humbling the experience is of giving somebody their last rites at the burial. So my first funeral, I had to get the casket out. We got a team of 6. You don't know how heavy that casket is, so you pull it out of the hearse. And you can't drop it or adjust. You have to hold it at where it's at. So we walk over, we put it down, we're doing the flag fold, and I'm at the receiving end of the flag, which means I have to give it to the widow. It's my first time, my first detail. So I get the flag, and they tell us in Honor Guard, like, you better not cry, you better not lose your bearing, or you're off the team. If you're gonna cry, you do it when you get back to the bus. I'm like, okay. So I get up there, I get the flag, and I'm looking at this widow. She's got her kid, and she's bawling. She's like, ooh! She's bawling. I'm like, I say my little speech, do my salute, turn around, walk away, and then I let it go. But I did over 100 or so funerals, from firing, the rifle thing, all of it. But yeah, the military was a beautiful experience for me. September 11th was my 5th week in basic. So that was a very interesting day, and I went to Saudi Arabia for the Shock and Awe campaign. And I ran the world's largest mobile power plant that powered the airfield in Saudi Arabia that the jets took off to go bomb Baghdad. So it was an interesting career. Did 4 years and went on my business.
What have you had to really work at as a leader? What does not come naturally to you?
The hard part is the people who you think are your friends that you lose in the process of being a leader. That hit me hardest since I've been here last year. There are some big regional size decision making that, I had some parts in, and not everybody agreed in the direction that I was going. And like, no matter how much you had done with these people, they just throw you away over some dumb stuff. So that was hard. Because I think of like, you do so much with people, like you do so much together, you think you're cohesive, and then like one thing, like it just, like everything that we've done together is just gone now. So like that hurts. And, I think that as leaders, when we go through that, we just have to, think about what we still have, So I still have my family. I still got my beautiful kids back there in the back, Mike and Sam. What's up, guys? Thanks for coming. At the end of the day, I know I can go home to them and play Destiny and Rocket League, and everything's going to be okay. And there's new friends you make along the way. I'm sure we've all heard about, people come in your life for seasons. It's a rap song. I can't remember which guy said it, but yep, okay, right on. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Chris. People come into your life for seasons, and that's real. So you just have to kind of understand that's what that was, and keep moving on, because you make new relationships, you make new friends, and the work keeps going. So that's the hardest thing, is the people you lose.
What advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
Don't fall in love in college. That's what I would tell myself. Some of y'all in here might have done that and everything's cool. I'm glad. I'm glad it's good. So if you're familiar with the schools in Georgia, Emory University is a pretty prestigious school. And I had a full ride scholarship there. Room and board, everything paid. And I failed out of school. I failed out, man. I was young and dumb, and met this beautiful sister out of East Point, and she just blew my mind, man. And I got the parties, and you're away from my strict parents. And I remember the first day I woke up in my dorm room. I woke up, I looked at the ceiling, I was like, man, I'm free. Wow. I could do whatever I want. I had a business in college. I was fixing computers. Internet was just getting put in to the dorms. We had high-speed internet. Everybody else had dial-up, so the computers didn't come with network cards in them. So I would walk a mile to this mom-and-pop shop, buy a network card for $10, and charge $50 to put them in somebody's computer. But I was banking in college. So I was doing that. I wasn't worried about school. So I failed out and ended up in the military, and fast forward, I'm here in front of you guys now. So it's not where you start. It's where you end up. Right? Okay. And I did get my degree in computer science from Troy University. So, yeah. Thank you.
Why does art and creativity matter to your work as a cybersecurity professional, and how does it impact your leadership roles?
So I'm on 2 boards that deal with the arts right now. The Cultural Office of the Pikes Peak region. I got some of my copper people in here right now. What's up? And I did that because Holly asked me. So thanks for asking me, Holly. And the other one is the Colorado Springs Conservatory. And I got my kids in there too. Yeah, right on. And, music has been, like I said, it was my first gift. It's always been a big part of my life. And as a hacker, a lot of my colleagues study this profession. They study the books. They know what's in the books. They know to go line by line. They follow everything logically. But hacking is jazz, man. It's jazz. You have to be outside the box, because that's what these people that we're dealing with. I had the opportunity to do cyber warfare for the Department of Defense before I started my company, and it's horrifying. Like, these people are making up all kinds of ways to kind of come destroy us through computers. Just that one way, that one war place. And, if you can think outside the box, if you can be imaginative and inventive with how you solve problems and not just be in the book, and you come up with some cool stuff, things that other people in the room never think of. And then you find the right people to work with, you just make magic happen. I've been doing that for 8 years since I've been here. So it's been cool. I use art in my leadership all the time. If there's a chance for me to sing somewhere, even if it's not like appropriate or nobody's ever done it before, like, dude, why not? Why not? And I think it adds joy to the people who get to experience that, because they're sometimes they're in a room waiting to hear something stuffy or boring. We've all gone to the same events, but you have one of your leadership people come up and start singing to you, like, dang, that's cool. And I know there's some singers in this room right now. I'm gonna find out who you are, and we're gonna do some stuff together. Trust me. Yeah.
With the Black Chamber, you took the lead at a really difficult time, a really pivotal time. What made you take on that role, and how's it going?
It's going great. I'm having the time of my life. I've got a team of 6 right now who are some of the brightest minds in this region, in this state. And we just opened up for some board members, so we got even more people we're about to add to the team. The journey there has been long. Like I said, I looked this place up before I moved here, and I looked at the Black Chamber of Commerce, I looked at the website, and it was 10 years old. And I was like, well, I'm not gonna be starting there. Let me go over here and, I'll start with the Chamber and the Regional Business Alliance, and I'll start with Rotary, and I'll start spidering, and I'll come back to the Black Chamber to help them later, once I get myself established. So it took me a couple years to get my feet under myself here, and went back to the Chamber, and that's around 2017-ish. Got on the board, built the social media engine, got us on, KRDO. We were in the paper. We were, finding other Black professionals. We were doing networking events. Like, it was great. It was about a 10-month run, and things came to a head. Let's just say sometimes people aren't ready for the next generation vision. And there's a John Maxwell, I can't remember which book it's in. I've read a lot of his books. You should read his books too. But he talks about some organizations that he had to walk away from because they did not have the vision yet. Like, I can't waste my time here. I can't. So I left and started the Colorado Springs Black Business Network. And that ran for a while, which was pretty cool. Had some amazing people on that board. And, COVID hit. The summer of 2020 was really difficult. We saw a lot of public executions of black people on television, all over the media. And, one of the things about being a minority, especially in a community like this where you're so overwhelmingly the minority, when you're walking in the business rooms or other rooms, like, nobody's bringing this shit up. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody's saying about George Floyd. Nobody's saying, like, how do you feel about Breonna Taylor? Like, dude, are you all right? You feeling okay? Because I know what you just seen on TV that's playing on rerun over and over again, but nobody's asking. So we worked with organizations like the Business Journal. We had, How to Win the Seat. We had Regina English on there. We had worked with Copper on an event during COVID, The Art of Social Justice, which was really good. I hosted that. We were really there for the people during that time. And My Black Colorado was here around the same time. Really miss Brandon and Jenny. That was probably one of the most beautiful things I'd seen, because I had never seen like a book that was just dedicated to black excellence. And they had created it. I remember talking to Brandon about it on his couch. We were talking about how to secure the website. Like, I remember all these conversations. So just being in the meat and potatoes of all that stuff going on. So the Black Business Network is rocking. We're coming out of COVID. We've got like a 2,000-something Facebook group page where people are engaged. So I asked a question. I'm like, if we were to become a Chamber of Commerce, how many of you would join? And people were writing back, oh man, sign me up, coach. Oh, I'd join. That'd be great. That'd be so fantastic. I'm like, right on. And my whole point was to make this into a Chamber of Commerce in the first place. And I knew that doing so would have a negative impact on the Black Chamber of Commerce, but I couldn't worry about that because I was looking at all the things that our people were missing, the PPP, the EIDL, like, it wasn't getting out. So I'm like, dude, we have to do it ourselves. So it takes a lot more money to start a chamber than it does a regular 501c3, because it's a C6. So I finally had the money. I had a lawyer draft up the paperwork. We were ready to launch. And I get a phone call from Yemi and Jacob Pruitt. Both those brothers called me. And they was like, hey, we heard you about to start a Chamber of Commerce. I was like, yep, starting this week, about to put the paperwork in. It's like, yeah, can you put a pin in that for a minute? Like, put a pin in it? What do you mean? It's like, yeah, we want to try to fix the Black Chamber of Commerce. It's like, dude, I've already tried. I took 10 months. I can't get those 10 months back. They don't want it. It's like, well, we haven't tried yet. I was like, all right, brothers. So that's another leadership thing. Like, them two brothers have been here way longer than me. And they knew this town way better than I have, and I respect them. So I was like, all right, man, let's see where this goes. And we ended up doing a negotiation. Dude, I hadn't talked to Janet Brugger, who was the president of the Black Chamber of Commerce at that time. I hadn't talked to her in like a year and a half, 2 years, until that conversation. So me and her had a heart-to-heart. It's like, dude, do you really want to do this? Are you serious? She's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. All right, let's do it. Let's get on board. So we took all of our massive resources that we were building with the Black Business Network, and we were like, dude, we're going to fold this into the Black Chamber and explode this thing. And it went through a very interesting transitional period. But in January of 2022, I was elected president, and we had our new board in place. And we remade the bylaws. We did new branding, new website, new board, everything was redone from scratch, all of it. And we opened our doors in April to bring in members. Some of y'all were at that 3 East Comedy Club launch that we had, which was really awesome, very well received. And a year later, man, we're doing great. We started with 8 members. Today we got like 68. And that's not, thank you. And it's really been no like hard push for members, because I've always been of the belief, and even when I was president of the Rotary Club here, if you do the work, the law of attraction will take care of the rest. Like, people will want to be part of a winning team. People want community. They want economic prosperity, especially the African American community. That's like, the disparities are ridiculous, and those stories don't get told enough. So now it's our job as a Black Chamber to take the baton from the great leaders that were running this before. They ran it for probably 30 years. The same group that started it was still running it 30 years later. So, that's another lesson as well, is, having that long-term strategic plan and continuity and being able to hand this thing off so it can last longer. And we're getting it done now, and I'm very proud of the work we're doing. So thank you all for supporting the Black Chamber of Commerce. Thank you. Yeah.
How do you approach mentoring?
Mentoring?
Yeah, bringing people up with you.
I don't tell people they're my mentors. I just model them. I just watch them. Like I'm watching Yemi right now run for mayor, and we were governors. He's a Colorado Governor's Fellow. We had talked about him doing this before, when it was just a dream in his head, and now it's probably it's about to happen. And and we I got a chance to be alive when the first black president of the United States was elected, right? Living my ancestors' wildest dreams. It keeps replaying in my head. And that's what we're doing right now. And that's what keeps me driven. Like, some people ask you to be their mentor. I've had a couple people approach me and ask me that, and I take that with a great amount of pride and humility that they'd ask me to do that. Because I was talking to somebody, I think it was Dante Davis. I was talking to him last night, and I'm like, dude, I'm just doing stuff, man. I'm not trying to be famous with this stuff. I'm just doing things. I see something needs to be done, I get it done. Let's go do it. And when people are walking around like, man, this should get done, like, well, let's do it. Let's stop talking about it and get it done. Who's with me? And I find those people and we get it done, and we debrief and we move on to the next thing. And we keep getting things done. I'm gonna quote my friend for the second time today. John Arita Claymire, President and CEO of the Colorado Springs Chamber EDC. My favorite quote, the first time she took the microphone in Colorado Springs at the gala, you said, well done is better than well said. So I'm all about that life. And all of you should be about that life too. Like, that's what I think of when I get up out the bed in the morning. Do better, well done, better than well said. So thank you, Jonna, for bringing that. Thank you for bringing that. Yeah, but there's always a chance to mentor. Like, you never know who you're mentoring. Not everybody's gonna ask. Like, just you being, some people shy away from the microphone. Or, when you win an award and you go up there gracefully and you accept your award, or you get nominated for something, like, people are watching you. People are watching you, Mark. People are watching you, Felicia. They're watching. Yeah, you, Felicia, they're watching. And that's the thing about leaders. Like, you don't think that people are watching you, but they are. And they may never say anything to you, but you just got them to, when they didn't want to go after promotion, now they want to go after it because of you, because of something that you said. So you're always in mentorship mode. You never know who's watching. It's very dynamic.
What do you do to find peace?
Play Destiny with my kids. I go fool around with my little boy. One of the tricky times was that summer of 2020. Like, that was really hard. And people were calling me, needing a shoulder to lean on, and I was glad that I had people that I could call. Donna Nelson, she in here somewhere. So folks like Donna, she was there. And I could call her and talk to her and help me find peace. Talk to Mimi, talk to Chip. I talked to John Register, and Sharmus Lee would pray with me. And I think one of the coolest things that really got me through 2020 was Black is King. So if you're unfamiliar with that, it's a Beyonce. I'm sure you know who she is. She made a music video version of The Lion King, and it's on Disney Plus right now. And it's a Black Arts Festival. And what I imagine to myself, Beyonce's conversation with the Disney execs is, she's like, hey, Beyonce walks in the room with all her glory. She's like, hey, I want to do a music video version of Lion King. You guys cool? Yeah, we're cool. Send it to us when you're done. We'll put it on Disney Plus. Like, all right, cool. They didn't look at nothing she made. They didn't look at it. So once it's on Disney Plus, the messaging that she had in there was for us. The song Bigger. I'm gonna get Shamika to sing it one of these days. But it's bigger than you. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than anything you've seen. Take back your life is written in the small print that your life matters. You'll never take my power. It's just so many things. The song about denial. but she's talking about being in the Nile River, and it's glorious. So I watched that on repeat, and I put it in my song list, and when I would drive, I would listen to those lyrics, and I would sing those songs in my car. And my boy Mike just told me that the latest update to your iPhone can extract the words from any song. So we were singing all them songs from Black is King. We were driving up here from Fountain, but that gave me a lot of power to persist and go through all the things and help lead the people. So it was good. It's good. That's how I find peace.
When you look at the impact you've had in Colorado Springs so far, what are you most proud of?
That we're closer as a community. That we're closer. I go into places and I'm inventive with how I can give. I remember when I first got introduced to Fox 21. So thanks for being here, Carissa. When I first got involved, I had a paid advertising deal with them for 2 years. So I got a living local every month. And I did my first one. It's pretty infamous. I hacked into one of their corporate computers live on the air in under 5 minutes on the show. So that's on my company YouTube channel too. But after I did that, I asked the producer, I'm like, hey, can I have other people on the show with me? And they're like, yeah, sure, you can do whatever you want. I'm like, great. The first place my mind went, having control of television media. Okay? People don't believe you until they see you on TV, right? It's just the effect of it. So I'm like, man, if I can control this, who else can I bring on in this space? I only did one interview on Living Local by myself. I think we've been on, Danielle. Me and Donna been on together. Sam, we've been on too, haven't we? Yep. And it was great for them because it's my segment. My logo's going to be on it, but I get 5 questions. So I give the person that's with me 3 questions, and I'll take 2 to make it more about them. It's already about me. How can I make it about them? How can I bring value to somebody else? And what those people would do who had never been on Fox before, they'd either become advertisers with Fox, which they liked, or they would share the content, which had my stuff in it. They would share with all their people, and their kids would be like, oh man, dad's famous, mom's famous, it's so great. We had an interview on Fox together. Remember that one? That was cool. And that's just using Fox 21 to leverage how to help make this community better. I've done it with the Business Journal for years, ever since we got introduced.
Yeah.
And that paper doesn't look the same as it did 8 years ago, which is great. That's one of the things I'm proud of, because there's so many stories that we have that don't always come to light. And I want to see our Black excellence stories and our Latino excellence stories and our Asian excellence stories, all of our minority stories reach the front page of these papers and be seen. Because it takes effort to do that. And I want us to make the effort, and we're doing it, and it's great. I'm proud of that. Yeah.
What do you wish more people knew about the work you do?
I think people know. Okay, so let's do this. All the community involvement that people like that I do is free. I don't get paid for any of that. I don't get paid to be CEO of the Black Chamber of Commerce or be on any of the boards or volunteer on any of the committees. And we all give. And I'm a Freemason, Prince Hall Mason, and one of the things we talk about is our cable toe. It's the extent at which you can give. You can only give that much of your cable toe. So, my company, Firma IT Solutions, is how I make money. And that money affords me the opportunity to do all this other stuff that everybody likes so much. But my company is what drives that. One of the highlights of my company is my man, Cody. Cody's amazing. Cody's in the Mayor's Fellowship right now. He's been an active part of Rotary, just became a Paul Harris Fellow, and he's a gamer. Yeah, give him a hand, man. It's good. It's good. And when I'm in these conversations with leaders about what the workforce looks like after COVID and all this, and what young people want and all this stuff, he has control of his time. I don't have a building. I don't see myself getting a building. I don't need one. Personally, I don't feel like I need one. I've been in business 12 years. I haven't needed one yet. I have a very comfortable lab in my home. PlayStation 5, 80-inch TV is great. Okay? I can work there, but I can work from anywhere. My office is in my truck. Fully trackable. You can steal it if you want to. It's all bricks. Okay? But, having somebody like him, I want to have a company that has a ton of Codys in it. because he's out here in the community giving back as well, following an example that he was just soaking up through osmosis, just being around me. And I've been very proud of what I've seen him do. And I was like, dude, what if we can do that with more people? There's more Codys out there. I want them to work for me so I can give them enough money to live, to buy a house, to fully fund their own nonprofit. Okay, yeah, keep going, man. Keep going, dude. Yeah, Colorado Community Esports. Yeah, and thanks for asking me to be on your board. There's one more board. Yeah, great. I'm trying to quit. But that's what I think a lot of people don't know, is that I'm a business owner and that my business is what's feeding me doing all these other great things that they like. So I could use some more of that business. That's what I need. Thank you. That's what I need you to know. I could use more of that business. Thank you. Yes.
So I know I told you when I was getting ready for this that I had like 50 questions and I had to cut out like 90% of them, so I'm down to my last one. I have to finish up. What's next?
Well, if I tell you, you won't learn nothing. I do have some plans. I'm talking with some people about some things.
Brian, front page.
Yeah, when I was in Key West, the mayor asked me to run for a seat on the dais with him, but he wanted me to take the only other black commissioner's spot over the only black community in Key West. And I was like, you know what, how about he keep his seat and I take one of these other districts and we have 2 black people on the dais. That's where my mind goes. Since I've been here, I've been asked to do things in politics. I've been part of the Mayor's Civic Leadership. I've done the Colorado Governor's Fellowship, and I haven't sought those things out. It's like destiny is like trying to move me in that path, and I have a lot of concern about those things, like safety. Your family's got to be involved. You come after me all you want. Like you asked me that question before, like I really don't care, but dude, don't bring my family into it. And I talked to Mayor Southers about it, and he's like, the threats and the safety piece come with the job. I talked to Leslie Harrod about it. She's like, dude, I had to move because people were threatening my life. So like, dude, is the change I want to make to the point where I'm willing to cross that line and go into this area? Right now, that's what's weighing most on my mind right now, is whether or not I want to do something politically. But in the meantime, I feel like I got plenty of influence, like without being an elected official, plenty. Anything I want to do, I'll just do it. And there hasn't been a thing I've wanted to do in this town since I've been here that I haven't been able to get done. Nothing. So, what's next? The Black Chamber, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Okay. We've got a new show. I just interviewed Harrison Hunter today. The show is called The Show. Really ain't gave it no name, just called The Show. And it's very beautiful. It's very well done. It's high quality. Thank you, Kevin Davis, for putting that together for us. Guerrilla Media. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. But those things are next. It's getting this Black Chamber to the next point, the next highest point. The Little Mermaid's on the 25th. Grab your tickets. I haven't put Spider-Verse 2 on the calendar yet, but that one's coming the following Thursday, June 1st. The movies have been great. Icon Cinema has been a great partner. I think it's brought a lot of community together. Being able to watch a movie and have a movie experience that you don't get in Colorado Springs. Having business owners and people sponsor and black movie trailers and just having an experience that feels personal to you is new. So I appreciate everybody for supporting all that. Just keep watching the Black Chamber, and if you want to know what I'm up to, you can give me a call. We can have a conversation, but I'm up to stuff all the time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rodney. We have to stop with the questions there, although we don't want to. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. We really appreciate you coming out and standing up. This is a packed house. We want to thank our sponsors again, our platinum sponsor, Phil Long Dealerships. Thank you, Gina. Our gold sponsor, El Pomar Foundation. Gold sponsor, Firma IT Solutions. Rodney usually says something right now, but we'll slide by that. Silver sponsor, Stockman Cass Ryan. Silver sponsor, Notes Live. And please join us May 10th for our next Leadership Lessons event. Our executive editor, Brian Grossman, is going to be interviewing Mike League from 5 Star Bank. So you can go to calendar.6035.com. I think that's still where you get your tickets. Not for long. CSBJ.com. Go there and get your tickets. Thank you all for coming. Have a great night.
One more ask.
Thank you.
One
Yes.
more ask. You know I do my selfie thing, so if y'all don't mind.